Welcome back to Season 3 of Architectural Adventures. I'm your host, Kylie. Thanks for joining me as we tour Springfield's architectural curiosities. Today, we are in the home of Chris Corbo. And like me, Chris has been in every episode of Architectural Adventures. You wouldn't know it though, because he's the man behind the camera. Chris is responsible for all of the filming and editing that goes into our videos. So Architectural Adventures would not be the same were it not for Chris's effort. I'll get to the reason why we're in Chris's home in a moment. This season, we wanted to kick it off by telling you about one of our most exciting research finds as of late. We made the discovery recently that newspapers.com has digitized the Florida Times-Union and the Jacksonville Journal newspapers. These resources were always available, however, they weren't searchable using keywords and terms. This has opened up a plethora of new research. I recently made the discovery that from approximately 1911 to 1913, the Florida Times-Union ran an ongoing weekly segment titled Attractive Jacksonville Homes. This segment was meant to showcase new construction in our city and also entice people to come to our city and build here. And it simply featured a photograph of one of our beautiful Jacksonville homes, and the caption simply usually had the name of the resident and the street which the home was located on. I have cataloged approximately 170 historical images of Springfield homes. That number does not include all of the homes from Riverside and downtown that were featured in this segment as well. And that brings us to why we are in this home. So this home was built by Willis and Ethel DuBose around 1909. Chris had always wondered what the original configuration of his home was. We suspected that it didn't originally have the enclosed second-story porch, and we're very curious about how it has changed over the years. One of the first things we looked at was the 1913 Sanborn fire insurance map, and that did confirm our suspicions that it was originally an open two-tiered veranda which wrapped around the home, and the wraparound porch terminated at the bay window located on the southern portion of the home. This configuration continued because the 1951 Sanborn fire insurance map shows us the exact same configuration. The photograph that we found of the home dating back to 1985 showed us that at that point the second story porch had been enclosed, and then an early 2000s renovation brought it to its present day configuration. The oldest photograph of the home that we found, being 1985, left many questions, and in all honesty, we had somewhat given up hope of having those questions answered. We were dying to know what the house looked like originally, but I was not sure that we would ever have an answer to that question. Until perusing the Attractive Jacksonville Homes photographs, I came across a photograph for the Pritchard house on Walnut. Now, the Pritchard family built the home next door to this home, next to the DuBose house. And I knew that many of our Springfield homes have changed extensively over the years. So when I saw a photograph of a similar looking home to this one, which was built by the same builder, by the way, having a two-tiered veranda instead of its present day single-story wraparound porch, I just assumed, wow, I didn't realize that that house originally had a two-story wraparound porch. It's changed a lot over the years. That is until I showed the picture to Chris. And at this point in this story, I'm not salty at all that I didn't pick up on this. However, Chris was picking apart the details of the photograph and noticed something inconsistent with the home next door that was allegedly the Pritchard house in the photograph. He noticed the details surrounding the front door, such as the side lights, which still have the present-day square inset panel pattern underneath the side light windows, was consistent with his house, the DuBose house. And that's not all. He also noticed that the roof line was the same and that the chimney on the left side of the front facade matched the present-day chimney, which is still extant. That alone was a great deal of evidence. And then we started looking even further. We noticed that the bay window on the south side of the house was consistent with the present-day house. And then the biggest things were the surroundings, which surprisingly have not changed based on the photograph. So the house that backs up to the corner of the DuBose house is still in the frame, present day, and in 1911. And then we realized that, oh, the house on the right side of the photograph in 1911 was actually the Pritchard house, and it is identical to the present day configuration, down to the bay window and the one-story wraparound porch. So at this point, realizing that we actually had a 1911 photograph showing us what this home looked like several years after it was built, to say that we were excited, I think, is an understatement. Having this tangible evidence that we really had all but given up on having. So that brings us to just how exciting it is to have this collection of photographs. As old home owners, it's a dream of having someone randomly show up at our homes with a shoebox full of photographs, being this long-lost relative. And while we don't have a shoebox full of photographs, it is incredibly cool to have these historical images of your home, which were published on the front page of the Florida Times-Union, ranging from 1911 to 1913. And this is also quite a coup for the Historic Preservation Commission, having proof of what a lot of these homes looked like several years after their construction. Say you want to add awnings or exterior blinds to your home. Well, that didn't have that originally. Oh, really? Well, this photograph from 1911 begs to differ. Very exciting. So our ultimate goal, since right now our oldest photographs for many of our homes in the neighborhood are from 1985, is to have all of these items cataloged and available on our website, historicspringfieldsociety.org. Right now, if you go to the Search Homes tab and look at each home, we have the photographs uploaded from the 1985 survey and the 2001 survey. In the future, we hope to add any 1911, 1912, or 1913 photographs that we may have. If you're curious as to whether or not your home was photographed, feel free to reach out to me and I'll let you know. I'm currently working on cataloging all of those homes, which, as you can imagine, is no easy feat. And rest assured, if I do know you personally, at some point I have dropped into your inbox and randomly given you this old photograph of your home, which I hope that you were as excited as I was to discover. Thanks for joining me so much, and we'll see you next time on Architectural Adventures.